Hello, and welcome to Scuttlebutt, the War Movie Review Podcast. We're happy to have you with us as we take a look at films from the dawn of cinema to today. We aim to provide a raw and unapologetic review of each film's cinematography, historical accuracy, and delivery. In the process of analysis, certain details will be revealed. These spoilers are only divulged to ensure a fair assessment of each film. We head behind Iraqi lines this week with Tom Clegg's 1999 Gulf War epic, Bravo 20. As always, I'm joined by Mike A.
Hello.
Mike B.
Yep.
And Nate.
I don't like the green ones.
I'll take it. So guys, what'd you think?
I was surprised. I was a little caught off guard with this one.
Yep.
Not what I was expecting.
Good or bad?
Well, it's interesting. I didn't know anything about it going into it, and there's a number of movies we've done like that. Once it got to the POW stuff, and I kind of realized, wait a minute, this is kind of what the movie is going to be. I was surprised by. I was not expecting that, and again, I don't know the true story about this, so it was very fresh to me. And I thought there was a lot of kind of neat things about it. I didn't love it at all, but I thought I had some kind of good stuff going on in it. Just to kick it off, I don't regret seeing it.
Yeah, it's not Tank Boy.
No, it's not Tank Boy.
Yeah.
If you really love The Clash, you'll love this movie.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
I was like in the first 5 minutes of the movie, there's like 4 Clash songs. I'm like, oh boy.
I am kind of interested in like the fact that they were able to get so much like real music in that. Like of the time music,
Yeah,
like that's
in
very
the air
interesting.
tonight, yeah.
Like I was kind of thrown away by that because most BBC productions, I believe this was a BBC production. Don't quote me on it, but I think it was, and most of those productions don't really have the budget to kind of go on like copyrighted music in that sense, so like actually like album music. But
Right.
I'll go next just real quick. Is that I think I'm of the same mindset with Michael. It's like I don't know that much about this subject. I just know that it's a movie and that I was not expecting all the prison stuff near the tail end of the movie. That actually was a complete shock to me in that sense of I was not expecting all that. But it was I know that through some conversation with Brian and stuff like that, it's like, I know that it's not 100% accurate, obviously, but it reminded me of the same production level of Ungentlemanly Act, but like a gear up from that.
It's funny, dude. I got kind of the same. I was thinking the same kind of thing. I'm like, for some reason, like I'm getting a vibe from that. A gem of a movie. That movie, by the way. And
well, did you
unfortunately,
notice they're the same actors from that are in this?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
The way, just to interject.
Just real quick, just talking about characters. Harry Walsh from Band of Brothers is in this. That's the guy with the mustache.
Yeah, because that guy's British in real life. Damn.
Yeah. Which I thought was interesting. I was like, that's Harry Walsh. Like,
Yeah.
Wow,
In
for all
my-
you B.O.B. nerds.
In my notes, I said it reminds me of an ungentlemanly act with a better budget, but with less plot and less direction.
Yes.
Like it was
And-
it was a bar ahead in some ways, but it was a bar below in others.
I was gonna say in effects, it was a bar below, and I think they replaced that with location. So
Yeah.
but sorry.
Where did they film this? Where did they film this, by the way?
South Africa, I think.
I'll double check. Let me see here.
Yeah, it could look like South Africa.
Yeah.
I think I saw in the credits South Africa.
Yeah, there's some parts of South Africa that definitely look like this, but like I just want to make sure.
Filming location. If I can remember how to type.
Yeah, well, you can remember how to type. It's all
It's a
good.
spicy time to be in South Africa, late 90s.
Yeah,
What time to make a movie?
even spicier now, but hey.
Yeah.
Northern Cape, South Africa, and Uppington.
Oh, so yeah, it's up. Yeah, they've got like some very arid regions up there.
Yeah.
So that's nice. Okay, cool. Because it actually looked a lot like Iraq. I'm not gonna lie. It really did look a lot like, because I wasn't in northern Iraq, I was in central, like near, right in Baghdad.
Mm-hmm.
But like the kind of soil they had and like the it's the dry formations of sand that form after rain, which would happen in the winter months, looked very identical to Iraq.
So was it your job to upload all the information to the FiOS cables for the Scuds when you were in Baghdad?
Yeah. Yep. Wrong war, Brian. Wrong war.
Shit. Sorry.
Oh,
I thought
sorry.
That was your job.
Yeah,
You
she
were
looked like a Gulf
based
War.
by the airfield.
Yeah.
Dude,
No,
I was like 4 months old when this fucking war happened. Like, Jesus, you weren't even born yet, Brian.
Yeah, I was about to say that.
That's what happens when you cross over 33. Everyone looks like they fought in the Gulf War, so
Thanks,
well,
asshole.
No, dude. No, in the comments on my YouTube, they're like, "Oh God, I've never seen such an old-looking PFC," and I'm like, A, the uniform was done with in 2019. B, I've been out for 12 years. I'm just wearing it for an example of how shitty UCP is. Like, ugh. Yeah.
My buddy's father passed away recently, unfortunately, and it was a long battle of an illness. And long story short, we were going through his stuff, and we found photos from 1991 at a Gulf War rally to rally people to go to, to war in the Gulf. And he's like, there with his son.
Go to war?
He's got to war in 91. And like his father's got a huge like fuck Saddam shirt on with like a huge beard, like 2 schlitzes, and like he's holding both his kids on his shoulders. And I'm like, that's America. Like,
So, I'm a diehard Simpsons fan, like 90s Simpsons, and one thing I once discovered was that in the early 90s, when the Gulf War was happening, there were lots of bootlegged Bart Simpson anti-Saddam T-shirts going on that were being spread throughout, and I found a number of them on eBay. They're hilarious.
Well, there's the Bart Simpson psyop. There was a psyop from the Iraqis that was like a one of those little cards they would drop on the U.S. troops and stuff, and it was some Bart Simpson saying that he will pay you to go back to America. Like,
I haven't seen that. I need to look that up.
Yeah, they thought Bart Simpson was a person. So
Eat
they
my
like
shorts.
they literally were just like, and Bart Simpson, the American, says that war is wrong, and it's like, what the fuck? Tell
That
me you don't
is
understand
fun
my
shit.
culture without telling me you don't understand my culture.
They all knew we were dumb fucks back then, though, if you think about it.
He lives at the Van Halen mansion. Yes, why do you do that?
I'm trying to look that up right now.
Brad and Mike haven't gone yet, so yeah.
Oh yeah,
I'll
thoughts
be
on
dragged.
that?
I think I just did, right?
Kinda, yeah, but
do it again.
But launch into your real one.
Launch that
Okay.
Scud.
So, launch that Scud. Fucking God. Right. So, yes. No, it was for Desert Storm. Like, I know a lot of U.S. guys that were involved in Desert Storm, and I actually met a guy when I was in Iraq that was a British guy who was in Desert Storm as well, and it was a bunch of bullshit that went on, and these guys, SAS guys, they were thrown in there during Desert Shield. That's the thing, is like, people have to realize that it was 2 different operations. Desert Shield lasted was it almost 9 months in Saudi Arabia, where they were building up troops, and it was just this cockfighting contest of like, yeah, we can build these troops. There was guys from fucking the UK, fucking everywhere, like NATO countries. It was a coalition effort. France, they were even there. Yeah, I know, believe it or not, never fight only dropped once. But so everybody was there, and then before Desert Storm happened, they sent a lot of these special operations units, like the SAS and the SEALs and everything, and the special forces, into Iraq to cut off supply lines and do whatever. Like in this film, they're tasked to cut off fiber optic cables that were going to direct the Scud missiles coordinates, right? That's one very realistic thing. That's never talked about at all. It's always about Desert Storm, the ferocious 96-hour fucking battle. But Desert Shield, there was shit going on behind the scenes. And that's why I did like this for showing that kind of aspect of it. Like, during Desert Shield, there were still guys going in there with absolutely zero support because their technology for communication sucked back then. And it's like, so they were going in there, they were trying to like sabotage all these Scud missile sites, all this shit, oil fields and whatnot. And then Desert Storm happens, which they did show in the film, which we'll get to. But like, it's like, yeah, before that, there were still people suffering and doing their thing on the ground, fighting with the Iraqi army, which at that time was the 5th largest standing army in the fucking world. So I have some issues with the film with that and how they portrayed them. And we'll get to that. But like, it's, again, I like that they brought attention to this kind of very niche aspect of Desert Shield, Desert Storm. So, Brian.
Yeah, no, very well put. It was a very big 2-part battle that nobody ever really realizes, you know. The reason that Desert Storm went so well is because Desert Shield went so well, you know. They're always 2 parts. But that being said, I heard about this movie probably 15 years ago, back when I was working at this museum, and there's a volunteer there who was super duper into like British stuff and modern stuff. And eventually he was like, oh, I came in one day and he was like, have you ever seen, you know, Bravo 20? And we're like, no. So we ended up watching it. And, you know, it was interesting at the time. And then inevitably the truth came out, you know, and this is a very interesting movie. And it's a very interesting book. I know that this movie follows the books very closely because there are 2 good ones, or from 2 of the members. And yeah, after the fact, you know, come to find that most of it's bullshit. Yes, there was a patrol that was full of SAS guys with Andy McNabb that went to Iraq, and that's about it. And they got captured. Like, other than that, along the way, and I can get into it as we talk about it, you know, it really went differently than was portrayed, both, you know, in the narrative and in the movie. But no, it's very good for what it is, you know. It's very that late 90s-esque of like a BBC program. Like Nate had brought up earlier, it's like an Ungentlemanly Act, but, you know, just more polished in some ways. No, it's a very interesting movie, and it's one that I've always thought of throughout the years. Even, you know, the way that they show this is like, oh, this is the most decorated British patrol since the Boer War in 100 years. And it's 2 years before 9/11. You know, so it's like, just to think about what was about to happen. So putting this movie in that context, it's a very interesting film. You know, in a way, this is the British behind enemy lines. You know, this is like, you're right on that cusp of the Y2K. You know, like, this is our most recent military achievement or whatever that we want to put on a podium. And it's like, oh, sweet summer child, only if you knew it was about to come. You know? Oh my God. But no, it's a very good movie for what it is. And, you know, I think it's very well cast. I think that's the best thing it has going for it.
It's interesting that you say how inaccurate it really is, because the guy the Sean Bean character, Andy McNabb, is a real person. I'm pretty sure it said his name was included in the screenwriting credits. Like, I think they said when the credits rolled up, I think when it said written by, he was one of the names in it, if I'm not mistaken.
I'll pull it up here real quick. Hold on.
Okay. So it's like, shit, dude, like, this guy is, you know, if that's the case, this guy is really, you know, making shit up for Hollywood's sake or whatever, you know. Or BBC's sake, sorry.
Of the 8 that went on the patrol, 4 survived. Of the 4, 2 wrote books. Of the 2 that wrote books, 1 was optioned for a movie. Of the option for a movie, Tropic Thunder. Again, it's like,
Yes.
it's crazy how things become things.
Right.
And again, it was so quick. This was 8 years and change, 9 years after the events happened. The doc that I watched was from 2000, you know, like, again, it was just so fresh. It was within a decade that this book blew up, you know, and everything happened. So it just takes a while to fact check people. You know, it wouldn't be the first time, unfortunately, this has happened.
Definitely not.
Well, and also they didn't have the internet like we have it now. Like, they had it, yes, of course, I remember that. Like,
Windows 98.
right, 95 if you're lucky. But like, they didn't have it. So like, it's like, so when we all did the podcast with Jonesy about the Outpost, right? that was immediate response. He could get to us an immediate response and immediately do that. And he did that, like fact checking and shit, like before he'd even talked to us. Now, in 1999, that would have been a lot more difficult to do. And so it's like, yeah, even in that short amount of time, things have changed so much. Is like, yeah, so if somebody was there, so if Andy McNabb, right, were to be on social media now and he decided to do a podcast with us, right, you know, hypothetically, we could get his side of the story faster than like people that were writing books and like looking at the biographies and autobiographies back then could have. And so it's like, yeah, you can't blame them, but things do get fucked up and they get misinterpreted.
At the same time, though, I feel like you have to give it a little bit of clearance on either side. Like just I was looking at a lot of his book writing after this. Like he had a lot of book writing other than Bravo 20, and he apparently worked on Heat and Battlefield 3 and like a bunch of stuff. I feel like unless it is marketed or sworn, now I haven't done I just was skimming it, so I'm going to keep going on that. But I feel like if this is just like his life experience that he's just making into like a fiction and it's never once said like this is exactly what fucking happened,
Right.
like I feel like then that's given a little bit of space and a little bit of clearance, unless someone's going out and defending like this is exactly how it happened, this is exactly how everything went down, this is why I have these scars. Like if you're like Jesse Ventura, like oh, so Governor Miss, like if you're going out
Don't
and like,
get me started
yeah,
there, Nathan.
yeah, if you're going out there and doing that, like then I feel like it should be accounted for in terms of like this is bullshit. But from what I'm looking at, it looks like he's written a lot of loosely like based on the story of kind of writing where they have that huge fucking liberty to stuff.
Yeah, and so it's interesting. Yeah. It's like. So do you take your experience and do you monetize it pre-monetization phase,
right?
And then just keep going with that, or what's going on? Like, yeah, that's a very interesting point.
Yeah,
I yeah.
Because I'm looking at a lot of stuff and it looks like, you know, he also has done like there's more things based on his stuff, but like I'm trying to find more of his fiction writing and stuff like that because it looks like he wrote like
let's let Brian speak. He's been
yeah. Sorry, my screen wasn't up. Sorry, Brian.
Yeah, I've cut him off too. So
on some stuff, yeah. So it's interesting that you say that, Mike, about the old world in a way, because in my mind, like 89 to 2007 is one block of history. Up to from the end of the Cold War until the beginning of the smartphone. That is its own version of time. So, in 99 or 91, whenever you want to say it was, email was just as reliable as physical mail. Like 2000, like you could, today you send an email, but 2000, it's like, depending on the person, like you might get back a lot quicker than the other. So it's this, again, funny time, like you said, to get.
Well, you can also bullshit, like you just brought up. You can bullshit in physical mail.
Oh yeah, very true.
You can bullshit, and so time. Yeah. So okay, that's a good point. Yeah, very good point.
But it's just interesting how the world was back then. Because I know when they did a lot of the stuff for Band of Brothers, a lot of it was like phone calls that were recorded or stuff. Like so guys would like call like Dick Winters and like tell me what you did. Like, okay,
I know about that. Yeah.
Like 16 hours of.
So was Ambrose involved with that?
Yeah, he was. Yep.
Okay.
Because that was a big thing. Because before it came out, the whole thing. This is a whole tangent. Shouldn't get on. But long story short, the guy that killed all the POWs.
Spears. Ronald Spears. Yep.
So there was a thing about the whole. The lawyers wanted to make sure that he signed a statement saying that either it happened or it didn't, so that they would protect themselves. Mm-hmm. And long story short, Winters just called him up and has him on the phone saying, "Oh yeah, I shot that sergeant, and I shot all those guys. Yeah, I did that, no problem." He's like, "I'll sign anything you need me to do." But that was a big part of like whatever, some law fucking shit for Band of Brothers. But yeah, it literally was 2000, 2001, just like phone calls that were recorded.
Yep.
But no, it's interesting. Most people that write stuff about their history only write one book or memoir, like Audie Murphy or a million other ones, Lawrence of Arabia. You know, they say everyone has one good book in them or one book in them. If you're writing more than one book, it just goes to show me you're a good writer, which means that you probably have embellished a lot of the stuff that you're talking about. I only say that too because the more that I make films and the more I write and the more I do things, the more I realize that you have to embellish. So that life is just everyday situations in life aren't dramatic enough to make a movie out of them. So as much as it sucks, you really do in some events have to embellish them and make it so that it makes sense.
And
Watching two people do stupid things in life just fucking stupid.
Another point, Brian, that I'll supplement your conversation with is people who were in those situations cannot always remember everything exactly how they fucking were. Do you remember what you ate for fucking dinner in 2010, June 25th?
Yes, it was ham and eggs.
Yeah, right. No, it wasn't. But like, you know what I mean? Like it's
it was chicken that day now.
There's certain things you can remember. You can remember like the meat and bones of what happened, but the details tend to get a bit embellished.
Yeah, the mind is unreliable, dude. You know, so yeah.
And
it's not a primary source. That's the thing.
Exactly, it's a secondary source, and it should be treated as such. And it's not like it's invalid, but it's like it's a secondary source. And I think with this one, getting back on like the first Gulf War, like these guys, these SAS guys going in. Their job was to eliminate Scud missile positions, the mobile ones, right? And they never got to do that, which is cool. I like the fact that they never showed them actually fucking doing that because they couldn't. They didn't. Whatever. Things got fucked up. However, what that you've researched, and I'm not like trying to like interrogate you. I'm just like actually asking a question. Is like, what have you researched that is bullshit from what was shown in the film?
Most of it. So it's very interesting. You know, SAS, the SAS has always been known to go in with Land Rovers and be on vehicles and live out of vehicles. And that's a thing they've done since their inception with, they didn't use Jeeps early on. They actually used, the Desert Rats were different. Desert Rats were the LRDG.
Was that not the predecessor?
Sorry, So the Desert Rats were actually the 8th Armored Division. That was the British 8th Armored Division that fought in Libya and in Operation Compass in the early parts of the North Africa campaign. And that's where they got their nickname. The LRDG, the Long Range Desert Group, the guys that just fucking watch roads, those were the guys that have the scorpion cactus and everything. Very distinctive, totally different. They had to steal their Jeeps from the SAS when the SAS gave away the Jeeps they didn't want anymore because nobody gave a shit about the LRDG. The SAS was this like Royal Air Force thing that was made to attack German airfields in North Africa. So that was the idea. So the SAS started out and they're like, cool, here's a bunch of Jeeps from America. Go blow shit up. And they put a bunch of Vickers K-guns on them because they needed to put something on them that for machine guns, but they couldn't get regular machine guns because supply issues. So they took the K-guns off of British bombers. And that's why they used them. This was a supply issue. Yeah, they literally took them off fucking planes.
Damn.
So, and they also have a triple the rate of fire, usually because they're made to fly, you know, or be in a plane that's flying so you don't have to worry about, you know, overheating the barrel. So K-guns are fucking awesome. There's not too many that are still alive. Anyway, long story short, that's what the SAS, that's why they were made. And they were very famous for having pink Land Rovers that they would drive everywhere and they would do reconnaissance with. Well, this is the only mission in SAS history, really, where they didn't use vehicles. And it shows. So, long story short, in the movie, when they have the team in the wadi and they have their lookout point and everything, and they, you know, are talking about the shepherd boy that comes and finds him and everything. Yeah, there was a shepherd boy and there was a guy that got close, but he didn't see them. The reason that they knew they were there is because a fucking helicopter landed 8 British soldiers 200 meters away from a house. In this documentary I went to, they went to the location and they met the family and they were like, yeah, a helicopter landed like right there. And we were like, told the authorities about it. There's a fucking helicopter landed in my backyard. So the whole thing about the boy is bullshit. That didn't happen. The other thing is that they didn't get into a firefight in the wadi. They got compromised. Like the police showed up and they're like, oh shit, we should get out of here. And they just left. And the problem was that they didn't tell the group which way they were going because there was an original plan. They were either going to go to Saudi Arabia or they were going to go to Syria. And McNabb, apparently through some course of events, didn't tell them and they got split up. So half the group ended up going one way. The other half the group ended up going the other way. and it just kept spiraling and continuing. And so, very long story short, it was 8 dudes that just happened to get compromised and make a very bad chain of decisions off of a very increasingly bad chain of events in January during the winter, and they didn't have any thermals. It was just a very bad patrol in a very harsh environment, and like the Iraqis just kind of like, showed up at certain times and took him prisoner. Like when they took McNabb prisoner, they said that he handed him the rifle. He was like, "Please, I'm done." Like, so, and they didn't shoot anybody at the checkpoint. That was bullshit. No, it just seems like a failed patrol.
That whole checkpoint scene, that just turned into action movie to me.
Yeah, there was a lot of points in this movie that did that.
So the movie is very correct to the source material it was given, but the source material is just, in reality, it was a very badly planned, executed patrol where they ended up succumbing to the environment and the harsh realities of living in a desert 200 kilometers away from what they needed to be. So they succumbed to it. That's what happened. That's not a good story. It's a very bad story. For example, you guys have probably heard of the Macon Atoll raid during the Second World War, when Marine raiders went and they killed a whole garrison of Japanese soldiers on this island, right? That's the propaganda story. The real story is that the guy that was leading them was incompetent. They came in at the wrong time in the tides. All their boats got destroyed. They only killed half the garrison. There was like 3 Jap snipers running around, and the guy wanted to surrender. They couldn't get off the island for 2 days. He left 8 Marines behind because, whoops, they all got beheaded. That was actually in Unbroken. They have the guys put their names on the wall. It was a complete fucking horror show. Clusterfuck. Like, the guy should have lost his commission over it. Carlson was his name. What happens? They fucking make gung-ho and they get more Marines to join. So, the reality of these facts is way different, really, than the propagandized version of it, or the version that's embellished through whatever thing, But no, this was just, in reality, from what I could tell, it was a poorly executed and planned patrol that just succumbed to its own poor planning. But that doesn't sell,
Yeah. And that, I mean that makes sense with some of the, like you said, like it seems like they followed the written account, obviously, because that's what was kosher. Like
when you apply that to the story, whenever it's the real story, these guys are in the SAS and they're going to Iraq. It's cool because it's real definitive stuff that happened that they can rely on and show. And then when it's bullshit that they killed 250 Iraqis, they say in the book in that wadi in the attack, it's 8 fucking dudes in the middle of a field with like a fucking Iraqi artillery piece made up to be a BMP, and then actually, they did have a real BMP at one point too, and then like a fucking BTR 60 with a 50 cal on it. It's like, what the fuck? Like, this is a fake battle that never happened, and you're now making a really bad version of a fake battle that never happened. Like, if you're gonna lie, if you're gonna do that, be Rambo, like, just go left field. But again, they had fake events to recreate that they had to follow and recreate. So, it's a really bad interpretation of something that never happened. So obviously it looks like shit. Hence 8 dudes in the middle of a field with they look like great SAS soldiers.
But
they're shooting
those
at
guys,
like nothing.
If they'd have been honestly like the Iraqi army at that time, again, I'll get into this in a little bit, but like if they were facing the Iraqi army with as much guys as they had, and they had fucking 8 guys, and they all had, which is, I don't know the SAS's SOP. I don't know that, but like, you guys have saws and fucking M16s with 203s. That's it. What, like, do you know anything about that, Brian?
Oh, I think they were pretty correct. Saws and laws, that kind of shit. They wouldn't have any
Really? So
blowpipes
they
or
have
anything
saws
there.
and M16 with 203s?
Yeah.
That's it? SAS guys.
stroke victim.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they'd be
Getting
minis or whatever the hell they call them. But yeah.
No, the mini mag is a fucking saw. That's
I
what
know,
it is.
but
And
the
so-
90s term for it, you know what I mean? But,
Well, no, they were saws because they had the fucking hand grips on them. But anyway, so they would have saws and M16s with 203s as SAS guys.
yeah.
Because I'm asking you, I don't know.
Yeah.
He's saying yes.
Why would they go with a fucking 14.5 pound?
Michael.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry. We're being smart asses. It's fine.
Yeah, you fuckers. Of course you are.
Well, we're just sitting.
so-
I'm sitting here eating a fucking salad. Like I'm just sitting here. Just
Yeah,
listening.
why? Yeah, a fucking fat salad.
Hey,
But like,
hey, you
so why
saw
would
my
they
ass
have-
in HBTs. It needs to happen, okay?
It does actually.
It's
It does.
it's like, you know, I told Nate, it's like HBT can look like it's squeezed out of a toothpaste
Oh
tube
God,
sometimes.
I
know,
look like I
Dude,
swear.
here's the thing is-
I'm in somewhat good shape. Those things did
Nate-
not make me look
Nathan, I'm a fat fuck, and at least my ass holds my fucking pants up. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
let's just put it that way.
Right.
At least my ass holds my pants up. Yours, there's no excuse for that. So, okay, 249s and fucking 203s on M16s. Why did they choose that? Do you know that, Brian? Because I don't. I'm asking a legitimate question. Like,
If you don't
why would
know,
they
just
choose
say I
a
don't
heavy
know.
ass
There's no other options at the time. I mean,
M4s? Fucking LA5A1s or A2s?
oh, I don't know about the length of the carbines and stuff, but I mean, as far as like an M203 and a 16 platform, what else is there out there? The HK,
No. I'm talking about
grenade
like what
launchers
they
have been
equipped them
made.
with.
Yeah,
It was just those two. And like that doesn't make sense to me for like an SF unit. Maybe it was the SOP. I don't know. Like that's what I'm asking you. Like, do you know anything more about that than? Yeah,
No,
because
I mean-
I don't either. Like, it doesn't make sense to me to like have a fucking SAS squad, right? Going out there with a 14.5 pound, well, with the fucking thing, it's like almost 20 pounds, with the 200 round drum on the bottom, and then a 203. It's like, would you not want to have something in between, or carbines or rifles, or I don't know. It didn't make sense to me. Like those are the only two weapons platforms that they had.
yeah, don't know. Dude, it's crazy because it's like it's pre 9/11, so like we're here
Yeah,
in Saddam's
absolutely.
Iraq, you know, and like everything is okay.
And that's the
still.
problem I have with the Iraqi military and the way they were portrayed. Because they were portrayed, even in '99, as like
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say just, they looked like the Taliban though. That's the thing.
Yeah,
Right.
right. Do you see all the
That's-
references to like the road to death, like where they're going through everything, and it's like obviously they're all charred, and like the one dude in the back of the fucking truck.
yeah MSR 8. Yeah, it's like okay, but that was way north. Like that, the MSR 8 happened in the south. Like that's I saw the residual of that when I was there. Like it was 20 years after, but like or no, was it 20 years? Yeah, it was almost 20 years.
Yeah, 15 at least. Yeah.
Yeah, but like
Still smell like popcorn
saw that-
chicken.
Jesus, Brian.
it smelled like depleted uranium,
Jesus, Brian.
which is weird. But
Dude,
no,
those dead rounds are fucking.
yeah, depleted uranium. They were all over us, and then with the burn pit.
That
was
yeah. People talk about burn pits, but I think that's a red herring. But anyway, like
yeah.
The one
thanks Oppenheimer.
the one thing that was throwing me off, but I actually grew to like it because I think it just made it just stand a little different was that whole fourth person inner monologue.
When he's in the prison.
Well, it was going through the whole film, but it really became
very
a fourth.
90s.
I know,
A lot
but
of
it
things like
became.
that.
I didn't realize it was going to be a fourth wall break though, with the whole looking. You're actually him in the cell. Like that was an odd.
But
take.
you weren't him in the cell. You were talking to him in the cell.
No,
Very good fellas.
no, you
You
were
know?
Sean Bean, looking at his friend in the prison cell.
Correct.
that
That's
whole
what I'm
scene.
saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying I am. You and I are on the same page. I'm just saying like
Yeah.
the whole
yeah.
thing in the beginning of the movie and throughout the movie is that whole
Mm-hmm.
narration. I didn't realize it was gonna be that kind of fourth wall break near the end.
Yeah, it was occasional.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
very.
And did those two guys were they let go?
yeah,
Okay.
Yep.
I was
Yep.
confused. I was like, did they get shot?
yeah, they were
Like-
released. Yep. No,
Yeah,
they were
okay.
released.
No, they were let go, not let go.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I wasn't gonna talk about the English, the fucking egregious English.
Oh,
Fucking
dude, that major in the beginning was redubbed to
never-
sound posh. Did you notice his lips didn't match the movie at all?
Yeah, I've never heard English people sound that elegant. I know exactly what you mean. I mean, Sean Bean was really hamming it up for this now.
Sean Bean's too
What
Yorkshire
the fuck
North.
are you talking about?
I'm talking about the dude who gave him his orders in the beginning of the film, the guy with the mustache. If you watch the dialogue in those scenes, the voice does not match with the lips. He's redubbed to sound more posh.
Didn't notice that, but yeah, maybe.
Because
What's up?
every fucking movie in the British, they have to make the officers just make them sound high class.
Nate, this is
English,
when you have to
'cause-
redub Birch with like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about, Liston. Or
If you
what-
do that, I will literally fly to Maryland and execute.
Oh,
you.
Well, it
no.
doesn't matter because I have no lips to sync up with. So Brian's. That's just,
I happen to come from Sussex,
Anyway,
So
Wisconsin.
they actually they redubbed him.
I think so. If you take a look at those scenes again, he's like,
Well, I watched
I
it
can
once.
Here,
I'm
I
not
can
gonna
bring it
fucking-
up. God damn it! I have it. on
he's
hand.
really,
All
he's
right, all right.
he's really off sync. It was free on YouTube. You can pull up the scene for that, but
Oh, well, the scene, yeah.
yeah.
I couldn't find it for free. I looked everywhere.
I found a 12-part or 13-part YouTube video of like the whole entire movie just broken up in 13
You
bits.
probably missed a punch.
So but he's redubbed like the whole
I get
officer
lazy
thing.
at times.
The BBC does that though. There's a lot of movies like that where they have like the British voice. They want it more posh. I keep
Why?
saying posh.
Because
that,
I witnessed a lot of officers in the UK or the British military when I was there that sounded
no
just
in
like
real
every-
in real life it's not that. I'm just saying like in movies in general.
So why do they
In
do
real
that?
life,
though?
Brits don't sound like that.
from
They
the
want
light from
they
light
want to go
from-
they want to go back 100 fucking years.
from Light Brigade style
Yeah.
movies where they want to make all the officers dim-witted posh doofuses because it's that whole thing from World War One all the
What
way
does
up.
the BBC stand for? Like,
Oh, so before it was a reality, now it's a fucking animosity.
I think so. I mean that's the only thing I can think about. It's like you always have the high level officers like the captains and the majors. They all sound like posh Brits. I mean, in all media, maybe
Well,
until the last 20 years. But I mean, that's just what I pick up from movies.
Well, no,
all the
right now,
time.
if you're a British person listening to this, and you've been in the military, which would be even better, but like, do they actually do that in films? Because I could see why they would do it.
I guess if everyone's commenting on their favorite accent, I just like Yorkshire. I like Northern English, and Brian can say they sound like miners and hobos or whatever. But
no, well,
Well, they do.
That's south. That's just south of where Mike comes from. Mike
like
from
I like
Newcastle.
Tupman North. You know, I like that kind
Yeah.
of fucking.
Yeah, that's because you
accent
know
to
you
it.
like Peaky Blinders. So you know.
No, that's Birmingham accent.
Yeah,
you
it's
fucking-
Birmingham.
That's
you
more to the
fucking
west.
heathen. It's a
I saw-
Birmingham accent. That's completely.
sat
That's
into the
nowhere
west.
near Yorkshire Northern.
I heard a funny joke about Birmingham accents recently. They're like either you sound like if you get it wrong, you sound like you're a Pakistani or an
Yes,
Australian.
I've heard that guy. Yeah,
They're like-
yeah.
The very particular parts like a Liverpool
Yeah.
accent's very hard. And we have a very good friend from Liverpool, and his parents from
Birmingham.
Liverpool, and they're like Liverpool. It sounds like you're dropping things out of a pool, and it's like
Yeah.
you're elongating the word.
I've seen
and
that
it's like,
video. What you're commenting?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. If you
Birmingham
go
Well,
to
sounds
I've
very-
asked a lot of like
Pakistani.
British people that I've known in the past, like, can you do an actual like my accent, like a Midwest, a northern Midwest American
It's funny when
accent?
Brits
Oh,
do
yeah.
American accents.
And they're like,
They had to breathe.
yeah, they have to breathe. Like, exactly. They like have to get into it. And I'm like,
Oh, I vote for the Trump. Yes. Would you like a McDonald's?
yes, I vote for the Trump. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like,
Or
Come on.
they say their terms and our terms. I'm gonna go ring up the McDonald's. Like, no, you're not. Because
I'm
that's a
gonna
fucking
throw
English
it in the
term.
trash.
you're going to go ring up the McDonald's?
Yes.
Or you're going to go ring up at McDonald's?
The
All of
McDonald's.
them.
Um,
Remember when we talked about on here how the Southern accent comes from the British accent because
It does.
Southerners love fucking Brits and they love Brits so much they love that Brit
Well,
dick.
it's British and Irish, yeah.
They love that Brit dick so much they had to get it during the Civil War and everything, and you know, it's so great. You know, look, my tradition. You sound like a faggot. Anyway.
no, it's my rights, you fucking idiot.
Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway, you're basically
Yeah,
sound.
you know.
You sound like them. We fought them.
Yeah, you know, we're gonna come down there and we're gonna take your fucking muskets away.
We're gonna come down there and we're gonna change the names of all those bases we put down there.
He
under
sounds like
White
he
Roof.
sounds like
fucking. Oh yeah,
Macho
brother.
Man Randy
Oh
Savage.
yeah, my name is Macho Randy Savage, and I
Nathan,
fight
I'm
for the
coming.
Confederacy.
Nathan, I'm coming down there and I'm
yeah.
taking away your brag. Now Fort Liberty. Now it's Fort Liberty.
So can we talk about a little bit of the Iraqi army and the way they were portrayed?
Yeah, horrible they are.
Yeah, they weren't. Like
No, I
so
know.
these guys yeah, right. So can we get into that? Would
Mm-hmm.
you mind that?
Yeah.
So the Iraqi army at that point had been in visceral combat from 1980 to fucking 1989 or 88 basically, right? With Iran, right? These guys, a lot of them, yes, they were conscripts, they were new conscripts, but their leaders would have been guys who were in the Iran-Iraq war, right? And that's something that a lot of people forget about and or just don't know about, right? The Iran-Iraq war that lasted through the entire 1980s. And it was like a fucking bloodbath. Absolutely horrible. Trench warfare in the desert, right? Ill-equipped, everybody. But then the Iraqi army came out of there going, hey, we won. And the Iranian army went out of there going, hey, we won. It's like, so that was not portrayed at all in the first Gulf War. You're talking 3 years tops. These guys have been out of combat. The leaders have been out of combat. And they're going to act like this. Sure, some of them, but let's just kind of get into focus here. The gear that these guys have been wearing is, for the most part, totally shitty. Because these guys would not have been wearing shamags. They would have had helmets. They would have had Iraqi M80 helmets, fucking steel helmets from other countries that would have sent them aid in the 80s and all that shit. And they would have been wearing, ironically enough, British pattern field gear and uniforms. Because Saddam, he adored Joseph Stalin, right? That was he's like, okay, that's what I want to model my leadership style off of, is Joseph Stalin.
And his paintings.
Right. And then since the Brits, well,
Sci-fi
Kind of.
art from the 70s? What the fuck are you talking about?
kind of.
Bad
kind of.
velvet paintings?
You're
Sorry.
not wrong, Nate. You're not
Yeah.
wrong.
Where did
Brian-
the crossed
Bri-
swords come from?
Brian sent me down a
Correct.
rabbit hole. I think the last Iraqi war
Ooh.
film we did, where it was like, oh my god, some of those paintings. Like even Sean has sent me some ridiculous ones.
Yeah,
over the
he
whole
would
years.
show his like, you are privileged to see this, and it's like the most insane, like Conan the Barbarian, like
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah,
geometric shapes
I
like
did-
ever.
I-
And it's like, thank you. I don't.
I didn't mean to hijack the conversation. I just that.
Oh
jogged my
no, but
memory.
that's actually a very
Yeah.
good part of it, because it's like culturally. We'll get into that in a second.
Bart
but like,
Simpson.
Remind me to tell the Saddam uniform story before the end of this.
Okay.
I know I've
I
told
will.
you it before. But
Yeah, I will.
Okay, so Saddam loved British, because they were there for a long fucking time. Loved British, like World War II and like post World War II uniforms and equipment. Therefore, he mimicked that and had it made. And that's why I actually do think in this film they got a lot of that shit right, of the gear and the uniforms and stuff. They fucked up a lot of it, but like whatever. And there was a lot of cult personality shit going on with the entire military and like whatever. But also, okay, long story short, I'll just cut it short. They would have been wearing fucking M80 helmets at this point.
Oh, you
Most
mean
of
mean what the Dutch wore?
Yes. Yep.
Bringing
Yes.
it full circle.
You're bringing it full fucking circle.
Well, when the Dutch failed to retake Java, all the Javanese sold those helmets to
Iraq.
The Iraq.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah, yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
And South
and-
Korea was the middleman of the deal, so that's how they made the money to make the molds to make their own helmets.
Oh shit.
There you go.
Shit, man.
Blonde.
But yeah, they would have been wearing for the most part Iraqi M80 helmets, And their military was actually pretty fucking disciplined. Again, being the 5th largest in the world at that point that we went in there in 91, they had a lot of gear that looked a lot different than what was portrayed in this film.
How big was their navy?
Not very.
But Iraq does have access to.
No, they definitely do.
Yeah,
They
That was the
were
whole-
actually.
they're not landlocked.
No,
Well,
they're not.
that's the whole reason they took Kuwait.
No, I know.
Correct.
I'm trying to remember it in my brain, Brian.
I'm
know.
helping you.
I
I
know.
have photos from this.
they've got about-
My buddy's father went to a rally. No, sorry.
They've got about 80 miles, Iraq, or 80 or 120 miles of actual coast, right?
Okay, yeah,
Like
yeah,
it's south of Basra, which is
Right.
the southern and easternmost province. And then the whole problem is they had trade problems with Kuwait and everything
See,
because of the
Kuwait
US
had a
war.
big giant Burger King, and then the Iraqis really wanted that Burger King, so they took over that Burger King, but they weren't allowed to have the Burger King, so they got yelled at by the world that they owned the Burger King, and they had to give it back.
And the owner of Burger King was George H.W. Bush.
And I say that as a joke, but also the fact that Kuwait's #1 restaurant is Burger King.
Yeah.
And
Here's the
they're
thing: is
fucking huge.
it does not taste the same, but it's actually fucking better than
Oh,
U.S. Burger King.
So I will say
sure.
this: anybody that ever travels anywhere outside, even inside the states, but outside the states, try fast food that you know from your home country
Yep.
outside, because it will taste different. Like Canadian McDonald's is fucking amazing. It tastes way better than American McDonald's. Like I don't remember how McDonald's was in Europe, but like there's little things. Just so like it's very interesting.
Yeah, because they use lard first of all. Well, actually, in the Middle East, they don't use lard. They use fucking what the hell is it?
Goats.
No, it's
Yeah.
no,
I had a
they use
50-50 shot there.
No, hey, listen here, penis. They actually use goat cheese,
Yeah.
which is fucking way better than American cheese.
As a Greek,
I-
yes, I do agree with that.
Yes, and
Yes.
but I don't
Comes
know
out
what
of
they
the
use
same
for
tube
their
they squish HBT out of.
for their oil, but like I don't know what they use for their oil, but like it's fucking delish. It's fucking awesome, and yeah, it's really good. But like anyway, yeah. So that's how like the first Gulf War kicked off. Is it was all political, and it went back to the 20s, and we don't have to get into that here. But like it was all about oil and like the ability for Iraq to ship oil out of their ports, and then Kuwait said they're starting to take ports, and then the U.S. backed Kuwait openly, and it was like blah, blah, blah. And then it was like, okay, well, fuck you then. And that's like very, very long story short, how that like kicked off, I guess. And then Saddam didn't want to play ball, and there was a fucking war. And then he went into Kuwait, which is not good. Like, not going to condone that. But like, that's kind of how the bullshit happened is politics. Weird, right? Politics.
really-
Starting another fucking war.
Really, really, really quick history. This guy wants to take over Iran. We don't want him to take over Iran. So we overthrow the government of Iran. And it's really cool. And then the people of Iran overthrow Iran. Oh no. But there's this really cool guy, new kid on the block, up and coming. He's going to fix all the problems we got. His name is Saddam. So what do? Fucking pay him off for like 8 years. Just go fight those fucking pig fuckers. Oh, wait. Then it goes bad. Oh, no. Then he takes over my Burger King. Uh-oh, hot dog. Here we are. So,
That's a more extensive version of what I said, but that's
Well,
also very correct. It's not
Please,
out of the realm.
please, someone fucking animate that, please.
Dude,
well, I
it's
didn't even talk about Afghanistan, but
No, well, that's a totally different thing,
I guess I gotta do that. Fuck, Brian. Now it's gonna be a short. God damn.
dude. No, it has to be a short because that is
hot
actually
dog. Very
super
90s
accurate.
term,
That's very accurate. Like it's so fucking stupid, and like why we were there and why the SAS were there in 1991 is like it was so fucking. Again, you send the SAS there, they go, yeah, we're drones, we fucking do our thing, we're paid to do a job, bam, we're gonna do our job. Okay.
Saddam is smart though. Oh, I have a port problem. let me just take these ports. Like, you know, it was the
Here's
right
the
thing to do if you're Saddam.
He can think one step ahead.
Yeah.
He can't think 4 steps ahead. That was
Exactly.
the problem.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
That was the issue.
short-term gains for long-term problems. Like,
Right.
but I'm not gonna knock the man. You know, like Poland 39, bad deal. Kuwait 90, you know, you might have some
Also
good sides
Saddam,
there.
he may not have liked the Kurds that much, and may
Well,
have.
that's a
you know,
different story. You know, there's
Well,
a reason
no.
why, like,
Okay,
the
here's the
only
thing.
U.S. Special Forces operation where guys have jump wings is into northern Iraq in 2003.
Right,
because they
and
jumped
here's the
in
thing: is like
onto a
Saddam was a
Kurdish
piece of
airfield.
shit. But here's the thing: is we fucking put him there. We
Every-
fucking put him there.
USA.
Refer to the Nathan
USA,
animation that he's about to make.
USA. USA.
Right. Let's put this guy in there, and
It
then
all started.
Oh, he's killing hundreds of thousands of people.
So
Oh,
basically, we have to blame Eisenhower. Because the two revolutions they did was Guatemala and Iran. Those are the 2 CIA operations they did in the 50s that were like have far-reaching implications into the future. Thanks, Ike. That's why Bravo 20 was attacked. That's why they had a very bad plan, and that somebody brought the wrong fucking files connection to the goddamn fucking.
well,
line,
now you got me
know?
thinking because we went into both those places. Iran was a lot more messy, and Iraq was a lot more messy. But like,
Iran.
Nicaragua.
Well, Iran
It's
during
like-
World War II was even really messy. They had to send an armor column there because they were like, "We joined
Oh, yeah.
the Axis." No, you don't. What? It's just like the British
What?
have
Yeah.
decided that you don't have any play here, like, because
Oh,
like
Jesus Christ!
the Germans actually even dropped Brandenburgers into Iraq, Iran, and Afghanistan.
I'm sorry, what?
Brandenburgers,
What
their
the
version
fuck?
of commandos.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
I
they're
thought
called
you-
Brandenburgers.
We were talking about fast food, and I was like, please tell me, did they drop a German Burger King called a Brandenburger?
They
into-
found a ton of MG34s.
There's a franchise opportunity here, Nathan.
They found a bunch of MG34s in Afghanistan, and a few of them are linked back to some weapons caches that were dropped,
Dude!
from the
That's
Brandenburgers
cool.
in 42, 43.
I've got a fucking a K98 bayonet, an early one, a wooden handle one. My dad brought back from Iraq that he found in a fucking BMP2, and that was because they sold a lot of their shit off, and they also supplied them during the Second World War. This thing is good looking. It was immaculate, and it's like
Iraqi Mausers are really cool. They have a very cool stamp
Yes.
on the Mauser
Yep.
and the receiver. It's like the triangle or whatever, but it's very, very
okay.
cool.
Okay, Brian and Nate, for our sake, we have to get off this nerd shit.
Yeah, we have to circle
Let's
back
keep
a little
talking
bit.
about the fucking film.
Well, Nate just cuts it out, so yeah, we just
Well,
we
no,
just, we just get it out
I
of
include
ourselves
some of it,
go
and
to-
then I pull it back, and then I
Oh,
cut
yeah.
yeah,
it
but
out,
like
and then I do
we're
it.
spurging out like we're fucking nerds.
Well, we
Like,
also
we're-
haven't done
They
this.
get the BMP is the laws, right? Which they fucking I did like that they showed that they missed because you don't always hit on your first target. But then they were out of them because like a law is a fucking one-time use thing. So after that, they start running through the desert. How bullshit is that?
Yeah, no, it's like I said, you know, this book / movie just falls short in the areas that are just made up. You know, I mean, and also it's very hard to show that. It's like there's that movie The Way Back, and it's about the Polish officers that escaped from the POW camp. Very fascinating true story. But you know, it's just very hard to show that kind of boring passage of time, where people are getting away from things. You know, so yeah, and it's interesting too how they call their Rux Bergens because that's a World War II term. 'Cause they're
Also, their
Second World War.
Bergens
Mhm.
should have been fucking Woodland DPM, and they were like some weird fucking off pattern. Did you notice that? And they were not
Well-
they were not like the 26 liter actual packs that they would have been carrying. They were something else, and I'm not sure if the SAS got different equipment than the average guys would. So
I'm not sure because Rux for special forces shit, especially in this time, usually are all like just civilian bought kind of shit.
96. I'm sorry, 96 liters, not 26. Jesus Christ.
So I'm not sure about that, but they're probably just like South African Rux because the South Africans had so much crazy fucking gear.
But the camo pattern is
know-
not one that I could identify or recognize.
I don't know, but that would be my guess because I just know from Bush War reenacting that like the
they had their own very special versions of P6. They had P68 gear, which is like P58, but it's a little different.
Yeah, I know. It's nylon. Yep.
No, it's been a few years, but there's a lot of subtle nuances. So I would have to say that would be like a South African pack. But other than that, I don't know. We'd have to go on to Camopedia. They'd know.
Yeah.
So
I love that site. Yep.
That's amazing. So, never been on there, Nate?
No, I don't know that site.
Oh, Camopedia is amazing.
If you ever need to look up a camouflage
not-
pattern from any country ever,
Right.
you just go to that country and you're like, oh, I need to buy all these now. Like, I
See,
didn't know they exist.
see, that's the problem is that if I find another niche to collect, I'm gonna fucking like be so broke.
I've
I
got
can't even
binders
function.
full of shit I don't need.
Like I know if I were to dive down, I'd be like, oh, I need to get this camo and that camo and this camo. It's like,
Well,
where
if
in the world?
Nathan found South African camouflage,
My-
he'd be sitting there with his thumb up his ass because he doesn't ever know what
If you,
that's
like-
like.
If you ever find me like in a collecting hole, I'm gonna be in a room like in tidy whitey's like surrounded by like South Vietnamese camouflage patterns.
Tidy white. I can only want to picture you in tidy white.
Brian's skinny little
Well, I just say that
fucking
because
bony ass body, like sitting there in fucking tidy whities, like spurging out. Like,
I think
would
I
you
totally
walk
my-
into that?
I think I told you my. I haven't told the podcast this story, but my favorite realtor story about midlife crisis. It's a long story
All
short.
I know about your realtor story is the yuck yuck. Is the head chopping. Chop. Yeah.
Chop, chop. Yeah,
Which
that's
I
a
think
great
you
one.
have told that one, yeah.
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 We kill a Jap man.
Chop,
Well,
chop.
this other one was a realtor friend of mine. She was showing this house to this client, and it was like a bad divorce or something, and it was like 11:30 a.m. on a Tuesday, and it was like her and this mid-40s chick. She was married, so they went to go show this house, and it's supposed to be vacant property. Nobody's there, so they're going through the little house and everything and whatever, and they go to like show this finished ceiling or attic space, and the door's locked. That's strange, but who cares, whatever. So they go, she's like, pivoting, like, let me show you this, like there's chair molding, whatever, and then the door opens behind them. They're like, what the fuck? And so they're okay, so the realtor goes first, and she's like, well, I'll show you the attic now, turning back into a saleswoman, and it's like, yada yada you. And they go up these stairs, and it's like a really shittily, it's like it was very nice, but now it's like all decrepit, and there's like clothes everywhere and shit. And in the middle of the room, there's a guy in tidy whities, the owner of the property, actually wasn't supposed to be there, and he's sitting down at the table with a mountain of cocaine. And she's like, it was a mountain of cocaine. Like, there's the movie Mountain, and then there's like the Mount Everest that I saw of cocaine.
There's Scarface.
And
Mountain.
the guy is just like, he just says, close the door when you're done, and just starts doing lines. And like doing lines and doing lines. And my realtor friend was like, so the house was built in 2019. It's like, and the client was, you could tell they're like, get us out of here. So she just walked through there very quickly, close the door, move on. I'm like, well, we didn't buy the house. But anyway, so yeah. Dude just fucking have midlife crisis, probably losing the house to his whatever. And just doing.
Gonna snort cocaine until you fucking die.
Dude, listen, it's a Tuesday at 11:30 in the morning. What else are you gonna do?
in fucking New England.
I got a mountain of cocaine in Greenwich, Connecticut.
Yeah.
I just sold my yacht. I got a fucking 200 pounds of coke.
The bitch ain't getting the rest of this.
I would have sold the coke and moved on.
Well, that's not how cokeheads think. Just watch a Joey Diaz video about when he was a cokehead.
I've definitely watched Uncle Joey.
The old fucking trick. Yeah, my fucking shoes don't fit. But the one where he's on basketball and he steals all the fucking roller skates. It's like people. When you're a cokehead, you don't see things. You see money. So it's like, oh, that's a half of an egg. That's
Speaking of cokeheads,
Why
Iraq
could
in
you see-
1990.
Why could you
I
see?
know,
Yeah, okay. It's
Anyway,
91.
so very
It's 91.
long story short.
Teguchi, Iraq 1990.
Listen, I'll just finish it with
91.
this. You're doing
91.
good if you don't end up in front of a mountain of cocaine.
There you go.
Or maybe you're doing bad
No.
if you don't.
No.
As Brian gets
If
up
you-
and gets a mountain of coke.
If you don't end up with
I don't
a
do
mountain of
micros.
cocaine in front of you, you have not made it. End of story. Like if I were to sit there and like my last dying breaths were like, I've got a mountain of
here-
cocaine in front of me, and I'm like, oh, I can sell this shit and pay off all my friends' debt and everything, let's do it.
Especially in the 90s, because you're riding off the 80s. So yeah.
And that's before they cut coke with all the horrible
Coming-
shit that's
coming
like in it
back.
today.
Yeah,
91,
fentanyl. Yeah,
Coming,
good stuff.
coming
There was
back
that great.
to
There was that.
91.
There was that joke. They were like fucking, in Goodfellas, like, you know how fucking good coke was back then. You didn't fucking cut it with anything. Now it's like all like, mostly like fucking horse tranquilizer and like colored fucking candy.
Coming
So-
back to 91 Iraq.
Right, 91 Iraq. 91 Iraq.
How
Good
much
work.
coke
I'm
do you
gonna
think
be a
fucking
producer
Saddam
here.
did?
91 Iraq. How
Yep.
much coke was in Saddam's mansion? Let's like pull
A
it
lot.
back.
A lot.
So
Probably a
there you
lot.
go. Yeah.
Which one though?
Yeah.
I've been to
Voodoo?
one of them. They're awesome. The palaces. They're
Oh
awesome.
really?
Oh yeah, I've been in Al Fall Palace. It's fucking amazing.
He
It's
had like a
huge.
season palace. I never knew that.
Oh no, he had like multiple palaces.
Oh, I know he had gold bricks everywhere. I've watched Three Kings.
They're
I
not
just-
real
I'm
gold
just-
though. He was a cheap ass.
What
He
were
was a
they?
fucking. He was basically an influencer now. So like, all the marble.
Oh, I thought it was Saddam doing the floss.
No. So here's what Saddam did.
I killed a bunch of prisoners today. Dab.
Right. No. So he did do that. Okay. Yeah. And he had his little fucking his little cronies do it for him because he was too big of a pussy. Fuck you, Saddam. But like he's like, yeah, let's just get this palace built, and we're gonna put all this fake marble in here, but we're gonna make it look like real marble. We don't want to pay for it though. And he did that, and it was like Al Fall Palace. It was all fake marble. There was this fucking chandelier. I can send you guys pictures of this later, but like, I was standing in front of it. It's this big ass chandelier. It's the
Should have
cheap-
taken
it's
it with you.
It's well, I could have. Fucking whatever.
Be like-
It's so cheap.
Be like fucking. Be
no,
like the
you-
Americans
no.
in Germany. Just take
No,
everything.
Nate, you joke about that now, dude. Shows this year. There was a ton of fucking Saddam Hussein like
Because all that shit's cropping up now.
mansion finds.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
everyone's 20 years old. Fucking
Yeah.
Diet Coke gave me cancer, whatever the fuck. Like
Right.
they're trying to sell their shit.
Right.
And like it's crazy what's coming out now. Like what guys stole, and they have photos of them. Like here's the camera. Like the point and shoot I had from CVS of me
Right. It's
with
him
the
next to
banner
the picture
in
going
the
like
house.
this. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's some great footage of it. It's like, here's like the Michigan National Guard defending like Udu's palace. It's a bunch of like, guys from Detroit, like, yeah, man, we're fucking in how, yo. And it's like, this
Dude,
is
that fucking
2003, like, what the fuck?
right. And like
Yeah.
the fucking thing is like, had I not lost my hard drive, my external hard drive, I would have had about 3/4 more pictures than I do currently.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a picture of me pissing in one of the fucking quote unquote gold plated fucking toilets. I'm just sitting there like, like fuck you, yeah. I had to piss, so I was like, I was gonna piss in there, and I did. But like, there was a picture of that, and it was like amazing.
Did he have any of that? Like, 'cause, at least we're on the same, at least somewhat subject. Did he have any of those crazy pictures in the one that you went into?
What crazy pictures?
Like all of his crazy.
Well, the
portraitures
velvet
and
art
stuff.
was stolen long before that. There
Oh
were
yeah,
some
all
murals
that
and
shit.
But
Yeah, all
Okay.
that shit was like gone way before I got there.
oh yeah,
Okay.
dude, that was 03. It was like all that.
Yeah,
shit
I was there in
'cause
09. Yeah.
Remember,
Oh, okay.
in every single army, there's an adjutant.
Right, I keep forgetting
somewhere.
you're 09 and not like 05. I don't know why in my brain I
Right.
thought that.
Even then, it was all looted. But there's an adjutant somewhere who his job is to find the best property to set up the headquarters. And there's so many of that government mansions and shit. When you're sweeping through a city like Baghdad, it's not long before headquarters gets made and then things get stolen.
Well, it's the same thing in Germany in 1945. I mean, it's the same
exactly,
fucking
yeah,
shit.
but
It's exactly the same
Yeah,
thing,
exactly
yeah.
happened. So yeah, so it's
That's
like
why there's
oh,
a fucking dry cell on my fucking desk because some guy just grabbed it. Like that's
Yeah,
what
and
the
that's
fuck
why
is
yeah,
fucking-
wrong.
yeah.
some art that Saddam used to fuck women under is now in some guy's house in Idaho.
Right.
Like this
Yep.
fucking
Right,
what
right,
happened?
right,
you know?
right.
Was he so cool?
It was still a working fucking like actual military post, and there was like generals and shit that would walk past me. I'm like, good afternoon, sir, and everything. But like, it was like that should have been looted fucking years before I got there.
Is there, before we launch into IMFDB, is there anything else you guys want to pull up? I mean, unfortunately, yes, this has some good quality and some things like we said with the Gentleman Act, but the problem is that it's more action driven and it's more of the BBC type of action driven. And even though I appreciate the editing and the time period of when this movie was made, it's made in 99. and this felt more like a 95 kind of feeling.
Yes.
So it's like it's weird to see it in 99 because it was probably a BBC TV movie, just like how Sharps were, with most of their stuff, Sharps rifles and
Which is fucking awesome.
which is
series.
awesome. I'm not batting Sharps rifles.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
just
but
saying,
it's like what the fuck are you doing?
yeah. Like I know,
So-
I don't think it degrades it at all. It's just, it's just, can we make something that is just, for 99 you expect it just to be a little bit more polished because around the same time you have Behind Enemy Lines and all that kind of stuff where it's more, big.
You asked for what art I like.
Oh,
and I
did you
sent
send
it.
me?
I also sent you a link with like all of them, so you can
Okay.
choose. But I sent you my favorite.
Okay, thank you.
What if Conan the Barbarian had a space blast?
I'll ask Sean
put it
for
in the
his
Scuttlebutt
because
feed, so-
Sean's is more ridiculous. Sean's had like some weird.
Oh, dude, no.
crazy
I sent
one.
you the link. You have all of them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I could probably. Oh, that's the one that Sean likes. It's that one. Yeah, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh
what
my
if Conan the
God.
Barbarian had a space blaster? And these were like in
Oh.
his sex dungeons.
Yeah.
So it was like, let me bring girl to show you what the West is. AR-15.
Borders. Yeah, I remember we were talking about this stuff for the other desert. I think it was the other Desert Storm movie, or it might have been Black Hawk Down. Like someone had these.
Oh yeah, this is definitely Black Hawk.
Yeah.
It's funny. This is 2 years before Black Hawk too. So it's that funny, late '90s. Again, it's like the pinnacle of its era in a way
Right.
of films. And then things got really polished for 2 years, and then they get really polished and gritty, and then it goes really gritty.
The Cobra CM203 flare launcher. Yeah, the Cilium, but like
The 37 mil.
that looks like a fucking 203.
Well, they filmed it in fucking South Africa. I think it would be a real 203, but I'm not too versed on them.
It looks like a fucking 203, like the
camouflage, by the
everything.
way, it looks great on the weapons.
yes, yep.
Very well done.
Rattle canned, but like
What
also-
camouflage were they wearing, by the way?
That's just Desert DPM. It's the 2-color tone that they wore up until about 2009.
Okay.
And what does DPM stand for, Mike?
Destructive pattern material.
The most British fucking term ever.
No, but like they're actually when it fades a little bit, it fucking works great.
Oh, DPM's great.
Yep.
When it's because you guys were talking about that with Ungentlemanly Act, how good the camo was on the idea.
Yeah, that was
of
pattern
camo.
68 though. This is
Yeah.
pattern
They-
80,
yeah.
whatever the fuck it was when they came out with the desert shit.
When did the first Desert DPM come out?
Is the 80s if I remember correctly?
Interesting.
Because it was just a two-tone and like
there
they
was
kept it.
68, then 84, then 88.
Well, that was Woodland.
Yeah, I know.
And
so
so
I'm
the
just wondering
desert- I think desert was I god damn I wish I had Devin on here, but like
because Chip was a 70s thing or 60s, 70s thing. Made it
right, but it just never got adopted until 83.
Well, I just wonder if it was the same kind of development though. It's like, oh, Israeli,
I'm not sure.
ah,
Yeah, I'm not
know?
sure. Yeah, I'm not sure at all.
Camopedia.
Yeah. G3.
Oh, I didn't see.
I guess in real footage.
Oh yeah, so
That's cool.
Iraq.
Yeah, I
Oh.
forgot to mention that there.
Oh,
I
that's a
forgot to-
Saudi guy. That's
Yeah,
a
I
Saudi
forgot-
soldier.
I forgot to talk about that. How they actually used the real footage.
That was cool. I like
Yeah.
how it
Yeah,
started.
they
with that.
did. Yep. And that's a Saudi. It looks like a Saudi soldier.
I think I speak for all of us, but I think we all love that 90s look
Mhm.
aesthetic. It's very in right now with like
Mm-hmm.
zoomers and stuff, but it's like I remember seeing TV like that. Like that was normal.
Yeah, I saw this shit like when I
Yeah.
was a fucking tiny wee one.
What?
Vector R4. What the fuck? Oh, the magazines did look fucked up.
Huh.
So they mocked. How the fuck? Oh, they were in South Africa. That's why.
That's why.
Yeah, they had
Oh
trouble.
shit. Yeah.
They had trouble back then. They couldn't get really K's. They eat Velmets for
Yeah.
everything. That was an 80s
Yep.
thing. Like if you look at the original Red Dawn,
Oh yeah, I didn't notice that. That's cool.
Shit. That's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
they did a good
Makes
job.
sense. Makes sense. Yeah. Very.
That's
They look
what
like
I thought.
74s, but
I
I'm
thought the
like,
mags looked odd. But I wasn't
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Because I thought there were like 74s, like a variant. But
Oh,
like,
you could totally see it. Yeah, look at
yeah,
the
right
receiver.
there. Yeah. Yep.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Again, late '90s South Africa. You think you'd be able to get actually Ks?
I guess he's
Most of them
talking
were
about
probably
this.
locked up or destroyed at that point.
Yeah.
Really random. Before you go on, Nate, I had a buddy
Yeah.
of mine. He went to Ethiopia because he's very good friends with the Ethiopian ambassador,
Mm-hmm.
and he went out into the country, right? And he's a big AK guy and stuff. And he was looking at all the AKs and shit that he came across because it's, there's a bunch of random shit. Like I have a rifle and it's a 60-year-old AK. They were all like fucking late 50s, early 60s, type 1, type 2, milled, stamped, like super duper early kits that out here would be worth tons of money.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's like the rifle that's been in Ethiopia for 60 years that they just had, it's just the rifle. But it's like, it's just insane. Like, what you find, like, it's like imagine finding some random dude in Croatia with like an STG. It's
Right.
like, what the fuck? He goes, yeah. Like, just had this thing. So, but it's just interesting that the very early AKs that live on in Africa.
Oh yeah, all over the world. It's like they don't
Oh,
shoot
yeah.
good. It's like they need to be rebarreled.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
that's
yep.
it.
The smooth bore, that's about it.
Yep. And the mini me. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
249.
They got really fucked up stocks. The original mini-me's.
Yeah, the full ones aren't any better. Like they really
Mhm.
weren't.
But you can see it. You can see how the saw stock was a lot better.
Mm,
I liked
More-
all.
yeah.
yes and
rigid.
no.
I liked
Yes
all.
and no.
I liked in terms of the British stuff. It looked like everything was really top. Like it seemed like it to the T. To my untrained eye, it looked like everything was kind of nailed
They look
down.
put together. That's what I liked
Yeah.
about them.
Yep, and
Yeah.
I don't know enough about this to like critique their gear and everything like that. So,
Mhm.
I don't know.
But you can tell when something is not.
When it
Right.
looks put together, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And these guys actually
Like
trained on
like
this
for
gear.
example, the
Yeah.
Iraqis, especially the first skirmish in the open, like that doesn't look right to me.
Well, their language was really fucked up too. Like it wasn't Iraqi Arabic. It was either extras that were South African or whatever. It was not Iraqi Arabic that they were
Right.
speaking.
Well, and again, it's like that looks fucked up to my eye, so I know it's fucked up versus the British. I thought everything looked good, so
Yeah. Yeah, and so we could be wrong, but like, yeah, to what we know.
yeah.
Yep. The rear sight's a little bit different than I had, but like that's also a mini me. It's not a fucking 249.
Right.
Yep. It's a little different.
Yep.
Hmm. Hot.
That's what I was just wondering, like, why they're all carrying, because like the mini mag is still 14 and a half pounds. It's a fucking heavy weapon, dude. And when you got the box and there were 200 rounds, it's like almost 20 pounds. And so why were they sending these guys out there with those and also having to carry a shitload of HE 203 grenades, 40 mics? Like, why would you not want them to be lighter? That's just what I don't understand. So if you're listening to this, like, post in the comments, like, if I'm missing something, like, why they would do that in this doctrine in the early 90s for SAS guys. So,
No idea what that is at all in my life.
it says Browning M2 H. What the fuck is this?
It's Dishka.
It's not a Dishka. It looks different.
I think almost every single time period past 1940s
Those
has this gun in their
fucking-
movies. It's like
Fucking Land
everywhere.
Rovers driving that hangar at the exact same time. It's like really. And that scene,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
it's like perfectly timed.
Huh?
Yep,
Oh,
stuck through the center.
right there.
Mhm.
Oh, that's cool.
You would not have an RPD in a fucking position like that. Like, come on.
Well, I mean, isn't that looks like a bow gunner position?
You can, but you
Yeah.
You
don't.
can, but like the RPD it was way
That's-
outdated during
that's-
Vietnam.
That's in. They were great in Vietnam.
But
don't
no,
know
they
what
were
you're talking
outdated
about.
though. Like they were not. Like the NVA and Viet Cong guys always bitched about the belt fed system with the magazine. Like
Oh.
they were like either have it
Brian.
like they love the RPK.
Brian, retort.
Absolutely.
You made a face. Retort. We need to have another K98 battle. It's fine.
No, it's
No,
not.
we're
It's not a
good.
battle. It's just fucking. From what I've read, is they didn't like the RPD as much as they like the RPK because of the magazine fed aspect versus the belt fed.
I did see this in the.
I didn't see the base at all.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought it was a ZB37.
What the fuck?
But I didn't know it was the base. I thought it was a
Really?
ZB37 or whatever the fucking Czechoslovakian.
They do look similar.
Yeah.
Bases and 37s.
Yeah, but like no.
No, what?
The front end looks very similar.
No. I'm saying the Iraqis would not have fucking.
Oh, there's no way they'd have. Yeah.
No, there's no fucking way.
Oh,
They'd
you're
have
saying
an
that they would have a
RPD,
base? Do you mean?
or fucking.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, what do you mean the ZB37 doesn't look like a base? Are you fucking
No,
lying?
no, no,
Like,
no,
it's
no,
not-
no, no,
no,
no,
no.
I'm sorry.
I know where I got
Yeah.
where you were going.
Yeah.
That was my retort of what the hell are
Just
you
like
talking
fucking
about? Yeah.
Christ! Like I'm sitting there looking at the pictures. I'm like, no. Okay, a Toke, a TTC. It's not a TT33, but
Look
a
like
TTC.
a Chinese.
That actually looks like a Yugo M57. to me.
Yeah.
But
something
hey,
like that. Yeah.
but like it's a TTC. It's not a TT33.
Yeah.
Love me TTs.
Oh yeah, yeah. I've got a few of them here.
They're fun. Hey
Yeah,
Nathan,
Webley-
what gun is this?
It's not a Kyber Pass Webley 38.
well,
That's
that's
for
a
damn
hammer.
sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm gonna do with it when I get the fucking thing.
Also, for the Webley, very accurate because the Brits left a ton of shit. in
Pretty much
Iraq.
wherever the Brits go, they leave a ton of
Yep.
Webleys until
So,
the last.
there you go.
End of
30 years.
Empire. Whoops.
Yeah.
The CM203 had an Empire. Nice little dig. Fuck them.
And the launcher by itself.
That's kind of how you shoot it, but it's not.
Compass is a cool touch.
Also, no, hold on. Okay, it is a cool touch, but he took his fucking trigger guard off the 203. Not good.
I think he has it on earlier.
Right here. What are you talking
Yeah,
about?
wait,
Yeah, but like-
look at the poster. No, he took the trigger guard off.
What are you talking about?
Look in front of the magazine. There's no gate.
Oh.
That's the trigger for the
203
203.
gate.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh. I thought you. Okay, yeah, got it. Sorry.
The Stenag 30 round magazine for your M16 becomes your pistol grip for a 203.
Yep.
You
Okay.
hold it like this.
And yeah, you don't ever take that fucker off because
Stupid. Oh, you can, but you know.
it's a heavy trigger. But like, still, like, why the fuck would you do that?
Because in Vietnam they had the the XM168s or whatever it was,
And the 203s at the very
they
end.
had the trouble, well, earlier in the very end, but they had
Yep.
trouble with the fucking thing on the side, so they had to put the whole gate. That's the reason they made them.
Right.
72 law.
These also would have been A1s, but or A2s actually. In 91 they would have been A2s, but
72 law, the only law you'll ever see. A bent front end. I saw that earlier.
Oh yeah.
There's props that can beat the shit, so. Because laws are pretty fragile by themselves.
Yeah.
oh yeah, it's just a fucking.
And you never see them
one-time-
with like carrying ends, because that's always cool to see.
A2 28 Grom. BMP.
We had a BMP at RBZ and we used to play, and it was actually a Golf 4 captured piece. They're very interesting tanks, very cramped, but they're actually not even really.
They're
tanks.
fucking retarded.
They're pretty cool.
They're
Their Soviet armor goes.
yeah, but they're made for like guys that are 5'5" and fucking very nimble.
All armor is.
I was gonna say all
Yeah.
all armor is.
Well,
I'm like-
APCs, yeah. I mean,
me being 6'2", I was always the tallest you could ever possibly be to get in the tank. Like if anybody's taller than me, then you're just
right. That's the thing is like
Yeah,
when I get
yeah.
into a tank, I'm like, fuck this. I
'cause
can't
you're,
do this.
You're 6'3". Like,
Yeah, and also I'm
literally
fucking
the cutoff.
huge. I'm an ogre, so
Mm-hmm.
it's like there's not enough space.
Yeah,
in
Brian's
Turret-
got a stick body, so he might be too tall, but he can actually get in the
Turret-
hatch. So
Turret on a BMP is actually very spacious compared to all the other Soviet. And Sean like pushed himself into a T-72 and he could barely fit. And that motherfucker is skinny.
Yeah, but he's also like 6 foot, right?
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, so he's
Yeah.
like
he's got the height. He's got the height. He's just not as skinny as Brian.
No, he's
Brian's
built more. But like, still, it's like when
built
you're
normal.
like past 5 foot. Yeah, Brian's a string. We discussed this a million times.
I know. I've seen the
but,
Holocaust
like-
body. I know. Like it's fine.
Yes.
I've seen what the Germans have done. Okay, it's fine.
Yes. Oh fucking Christ! Beautiful, beautiful.
You know, before the war, I was a pianist.
Oh boy. Shots fired.
The fuck's with the code?
Yeah. So, but an AZB S60. I don't know what the
I have
fuck
no
that is.
fucking clue what that
no
is.
idea.
Yep. Bofer's the 40 millimeter.
Both for
yeah.
these nuts. Sorry. I do that every time.
I'm disappointed in you, Nathan.
Every time that I always go Bofa.
I'm
Anyway.
disappointed in you, Nathan. I really am.
Look, I gotta stay hip, okay? You know, we gotta be with the cool kids now.
Also, the helmets they were wearing were not fucking Iraqi M80s.
Those look like almost
Because
look
they
like
were
M1s.
Dutch M80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I won't get into like what I think they were because there's no good pictures to
Right,
be
yeah.
honest. But like, they were not Iraqi M80s that we talked about. The Dutch should have just given this to them for their film, and vice versa.
Oh shit.
Yes, the Dutch should have given England Iraq. This would all have gone a lot easier.
Well, we should have just Europeans should have just never meddled in there to begin with. But that's a very controversial opinion, I
What?
guess.
Oh, there's only one group of countries in the world that has straight line borders. It's strange. I wonder why. Huh. They're all next to each other. Strange. It's like it's drawn on a globe. Anyway.
Final thoughts, so we can end this and all get. Brian's hitting a wall. I can tell. Brian's hit the tired wall. It's 9:00. Brian's tired.
I've been up since 5:30, so
I
Nate,
don't-
you lead us into this.
Oh Jesus. Okay. I mean,
His name's Brian. It's not Jesus.
That's the middle name. My middle initial is a J, by the way. I can make that work.
Brian Jesus.
Yes.
Brian.
You sit down when you something by God. I'm tired.
Yeah. All right. Let's
That
just
is
fucking
Brian
wrap this
Jesus
bitch up.
Irish. Yeah.
Michael, how about you go first? Very good points. Wow. Nathan, what do you got to say?
I'll cut him in around.
Well, like I say, had some interesting things going for it. Thought all the actors were pretty good. I liked some of their bantering and stuff like that. It felt pretty authentic, and just in terms of these guys bullshitting and shit like that.
The dialogue was really
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. The action, that was kind of when I would check out, honestly. Like, the sound effects were terrible. This was like sound effects that I would hear in like
Point Break.
there were sound effects in this that I recognized from like PlayStation 1 games that I played back in the day, just like some of the machine guns and the just other sound effects. I'm like, really? You're using that sound effects? You got that library? So that was kind of what pulled me out of it. Yeah, that whole thing where they shoot up that place at the nighttime and guys with AKs or whatever are falling down, shooting them as they're falling down and stuff like that. It seems very action movie at that point.
A lot of hands up in the air.
Yeah, and the most interesting stuff was the POW stuff, in my opinion. But now that I know that the story is, kind of bullshit, but so it's like, oh, now I want to know even more about what the actual story is. Maybe I'll check out that documentary now. So, and if a movie can do that, can get you interested, as we always say, then then it deserves some points. So I think I'll give this I don't know, 6 out of 10. So, yeah, it was okay. Not too bad for is this a BBC production? I think it is.
It's a TV. Yeah, it was a TV movie originally.
Yeah, so not too bad. But anywho, those are my thoughts.
Nice.
Nice.
Very good points for Michael. So.
Yeah, I've been quiet on this only just because I don't have much of the history.
A little louder.
I don't know everything. So there you go. But I mean, to talk about it in terms of like, what I can chime in on is like, it's very 1990s BBC television movie. But
Big black cock.
Big, yeah,
Television?
BBC. Yeah, television. Yeah. 2 girls, 1 cup. Anyway,
Are we in Birmingham?
Yeah, Jesus.
Oof.
God damn it. All right. So, but in terms of the editing and the stuff, I mean, like Mike A had said something about the sound effects and how they're crappy, and I mean, I just kind of look at it as the time period for these TV movies. It's part of the theme for me. I mean, but the thing is that really does stand out with me in this movie is the dialogue. Actually, some of the dialogue I didn't hate. Like, some of it's cheesy because it's meant to be comedy, a little haha, a little bit of this, a little that. But the banter, it's not like fucking Hyena Road banter where it's like, oh my god, you'll never say that in your history of the life. Like, no. So it just, I liked this movie. There was a bunch of things. I do think it's very actiony, hands up in the air, fall over, gas tanks, flame, night battle, this kind of stuff, this trope, that trope. So I think what we said before, where it's like, it's ungentlemanly act with a bigger budget, but I think it's lower caliber. That's just me where I sit on that. So, liked all the acting, nothing was horrible to me. So I think I'm going to give it like a 7 out of 10 Scream Mel Gibsons. I think that's decent. I really like Sean Bean, so that was a plus. But it's I feel like it's ungentlemanly act level of stuff on a higher caliber, on a higher budget, but just lower in just everything else. But I enjoyed it.
So yeah, no, very well said, Nate. It's a very interesting movie. It was made at a very interesting time, and I definitely agree with everything you have to say about it. It is like a worse version of an ungentlemanly act. After doing all the research and looking into it and stuff like that, my opinion is that this movie can be summed up in one quote: all dressed up and no one to blow. It's like, meaning that the thing that this film suffers from the most is the source material and the plot. This film could have been really awesome if it just was about something else, because you can see they had the production ability. You could see that they had the good uniforms. You could see that they had the places to do it. It's just they were trying to make this thing that was a convolution of real and fake into a story. And this goes to show that, the narrative just doesn't work. It's all over the place. And it might work as a book when you read it because you don't see it all there in once. But when you make it into a movie, it just looks stupid. So I feel like that's the biggest problem with this movie. If this was about any other SAS team or whatever you can come up with, like if a writer made the story, I think it would be a lot better. It would be like Three Kings, but not shit. I don't know. Like, I just feel like that's where this movie suffers. It's so good in so many ways, but the one thing that ties together all the crap, in my opinion, is just the very weak narrative and plot. Nate?
No, I was just gonna say, like, with my score and judgment, and I know he kind of hinted at it, but not. But like, I'm definitely keeping, whether this is a true story or not, or the fiction that was blown up or overblown or whatever. I'm keeping that out of my score, and mainly as, was it a movie that I found entertaining? Yes. Was it a movie that I found that had its flaws? Yes. I'm trying to keep the whole knowledge of, is it an overblown fictitious story, out of my head, because it's coming from one source and not knowing enough about it to be like, not like when we do, like, let's be fair, our World War I and World War II quadrants, we tend to look at the real history and judge it on that as well. So this is kind of like a weird in between, I feel like, for my score. I don't know about your score, but like you kind of mentioned that, you said like between fiction and real and stuff like that. Like,
I'll say that the places that are shitty in the movie makes sense why they're shitty when you know the backstory.
Yeah.
So even with knowing what I know about the story, just those parts of the film just lack. You could tell that they're just, not how they should be. Like, I don't know. It's like they're forcing something to happen. And that's because they're forcing something that didn't happen to happen.
Right.
So it's a recreation. It's a realistic recreation of a fake event. So like when you're forcing that, obviously it's gonna feel forced, and then you get a Hollywood production or whatever. So it just hurts. You know,
Mhm.
it's like But it's like you have all these vehicles, you have all the stuff, you have all these things, you have like if they just pull themselves out of the box of this is a real story, oh, okay, then it could have been such a better film. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like if they just remove that caveat, but that's just what I feel like it suffers from. It's unfortunate. It's got nothing to do with them, but like they were chasing the dragon, in lieu of a better term. You know, they couldn't have gotten what they were trying to get, but they did a really good job of trying to do what they were trying to do. If that makes sense. But yeah, you know, um, it just felt a little shallow at points, and that's because that's what it was. But that being said, it's worth a watch. It's interesting. There's not a lot of Gulf War movies out there, especially from the Commonwealth perspective. So I would give it at the end of the day a 6.5, just with a heavy grain of salt of knowing this is a pre 9/11, you know, late 90s movie. Just knowing what it is and why it exists, you know, and going forward with that. Just like Behind Enemy Lines, same kind of thing. Like, you know, oh, this is what 2000 should have been if we didn't have terrorism.
Damn you tracksuit Russians. Yeah.
Exactly.
Serbs
like,
or whatever the fuck it was. Yeah.
how do you know he has that tattoo?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I'd give this, like I said, a 6.5 out of 10. So
Good statements. Yeah, it's overall, like I said at the beginning, it told a story about what happened during Desert Shield, which is never talked about, which I respected. I did know a little bit, not of this specific team, but I did know of, you know, a lot of SAS guys, SEALs and everything, special forces going in, taking out Scud sites and everything, or trying to, before Desert Storm actually kicked off to mitigate casualties on the coalition side. Now, this one, I'm pretty sure it was a true story because these guys did get captured. They got tortured. They got the fuck tortured out of them. And I didn't want to spend much time on that because I don't like torture at all. I think it's very fucking barbaric. I think it's stupid. I think it's pointless as well. So I'm glad we didn't spend a lot of time on that because it's really fucking stupid.
that part's real. That all happened.
Yeah,
Nobody's
I know it.
denying
I know it
anything for
did. And
that.
That's why I didn't want to touch on it too much. It's just I believe it, and
yes.
I thought they portrayed it very well.
I think
what it accumulates into my
Yep.
score as well, but I didn't want to really touch on it. So
I
Very
think
well done.
I honestly like from what I know from firsthand accounts is like it would have been a lot worse than what they portrayed. Talking bamboo shoots up the fingernails and shit like that, and just fucking up the piss hole, like putting, you know, things that were really fucking bad. They didn't want to show in the film, and I respect that. But yeah, I don't condone torture for anybody, right? I don't care how bad you were. I think the biggest torture is sitting in a fucking cell, and I don't, whatever. So anyway, that part aside, I do know these guys were captured, and they were tortured mercilessly, and then they ended up making it home somehow, you know, most of them. And it's like, okay, it's fucking insane. Now, would I have liked it to be historically accurate? Of course, because that's the kind of nerd that I am and you guys are. However, if you're trying to get a message across, you can't always be historically accurate. And with the books that were written, and, you know, people can contest that, and they can say, no, this wasn't accurate, this was accurate, this wasn't, blah, blah, blah. Okay. But as long as the story's out there, at least it sparks a conversation. And I think this is a conversation that's rarely, if ever, had, especially with the British involvement in the first Gulf War. Like, it's always like, you know, Schwarzkopf and the fucking Second Armored Cav and the fucking, you know, whatever, going in and just fucking shit up in Desert Storm, right? It's never about what went into the lead up to Desert Storm. Jarhead touches on this with Desert Shield, like they're bored, they're sitting out there, the infantry marines, blah blah blah. But it never really gets into the details of like the guys that were actually operating on the ground during Desert Shield in 1991, late 90, I should say. And so for that, I do respect it. Now, the action scenes, fucking stupid. Fucking ridiculous. Oh, the moaning, like the fucking, oh, I'm falling over. No, come on. I get it. It's 1999. You don't want to do that shit, but Jesus fucking Christ. You're telling a hardcore story already, and you're not gonna like just go the extra, not even mile. It's like a couple feet, just to like show what it's like. So that took a lot away from me. Is the action scenes, because they were just that. They were action scenes. Okay, fuck it. So you go from storytelling and the action scenes. Overall, yeah, the equipment and everything, again, I'm not going to rag on that or praise it because I don't know what SAS guys would have been carrying in 91. I don't know. So, looks okay to me. They're wearing DPM, the desert version, the arid version, and cool. Their weapons, I had a question about that, but that's already been stated. So overall, like with the combat and everything, and the Iraqi army was just terrible. They were doing the whole wave charges, like the stereotypical fucking shit. No, the Iraqi army's not going to fucking do that. Like I've talked to guys who fought the Iraqi army, like actually in battle, like in the first Gulf War. And they're like, no, they actually like use tactics because they were again in combat for the past 10 fucking years, and so their leaders knew how to teach them tactics. Bounding, firing. I did like that part too. When they were bounding, there were some tactics that were shown on the British side. Cool. But overall, it felt very short. All that being said, just overall. And so, all right, I'll stop ranting. I'm going to give it a 6.2 out of 10.
Putting all the scores into the computer that will tell us if Saddam will come back as a cyborg robot and take over Wisconsin.
Oh, he did. He did.
Well, cyborgs.
He
like
did. He did.
Thanks, Cole. So, that being said, we get a score of 6.4 cyborg Saddam Husseins out of 10.
Yeah, it's not like I would tell somebody to not watch it, but it's also like we were saying, like
that's about the consensus on IMDb is a 6.7.
Okay.
So that's pretty funny actually. It got very close.
Yeah, it's an interesting movie. Again, it's one that's worth watching, but like I said, in my opinion, it's just like what could have been.
Well, and like that's the thing is like we've seen a lot worse for sure.
Oh,
but we've also seen a lot better.
Yeah, and the production, the talent and the production value was there. But the one thing that was lacking was the source material, and just they're trying to make an omelet out of grapes, and it's like,
right,
bro,
it's like,
you're doing a really good job with those fucking grapes.
You could do it.
You know what?
But you
There's
need
one
eggs.
thing you're missing.
You gotta have eggs.
Yeah,
you gotta have eggs.
You're getting really.
Eggs.
These are the best grape omelets I've ever had.
And hey, here's the thing: is you could pull that shit off.
Yeah,
but you need the ingredients.
It's funny. Yeah. Your one-liner of all dressed up and no one to blow. That's from Lethal Weapon. So if we want to bring it back to South Africa for Lethal Weapon 2, that's how it all ties
that is
together.
Lethal Weapon. Interesting.
Yeah, it's in Lethal Weapon 1.
We're gonna have to get Jonesy on for that one.
Yeah, you gotta get Chris back on here for that.
Is this thing fucking working? Shit. Can you guys hear me? Are you all right?
On that bombshell, thanks for your time.
Oh, shit, we're still recording.
Next week. Yes, we are.
Okay, right.
Oh, wait. I do want to say one thing before we go. So, have you guys ever seen a Scud?
No.
In real life? No.
Yeah.
No.
I have. So, the museum that I ended up being a part of later on in my museum career, whatever, they got the Jacques Littlefield collection donated to them, which was the biggest armor collection in the world. And long story short, Jacques Littlefield bought 2 Scuds from China. Literally, there were 2 demilled Scuds in the late 90s, and they just showed up. And he got a phone call from the government one day saying, we need you to come down to the port. He lived near San Francisco. Like, you need to come down to the port. He's like, okay. They're like, you know what you bought? He's like, yeah. They're like, do you really know what you bought? He's like, yeah, 2 Scuds. And they're like, it was a whole thing. So long story short, he had them at his museum, and because the government didn't own any of their own Scuds, like whenever they needed a reference photo, they would just send a guy to his museum. So
shit. Yeah.
I'd have friends there that would be working on stuff and doing things, and like a black like car would show up. There'd be 2 guys like suits and be like, yeah, we gotta take a photo or something. Like, okay, and like take apart a panel, like pull this thing apart, and it's like a wire connection. Like, okay, thanks. Long story short, that museum went under. Jacques Littlefield ended up passing away. They sold off a bunch of the armor to make this new museum that I'm kind of a part of, and they sold one of the Scuds. Do you know who bought it?
The government.
Yep, the U.S. government bought it for the reference collection.
That's funny.
So one of the Scuds is at the museum. There was a tracked Scud and it was a wheeled Scud. So they still have the wheeled Scud because it's less maintenance, and it's in the museum. It's pretty cool. It's like halfway erected in the middle of everything, and then the government owns the track Scud as their reference. But it was pretty funny. It's like, you know, you've been hanging out working on stuff, and then like here comes the FBI. And we need a photo, you know. Like,
That's not FBI. It's CIA.
CIA, but like, you know, a little like, you know, 90s like point and shoot camera. Like,
Oh yeah,
you know,
for sure.
you know, what? I need to get a number off of a connection. Like, why? You don't want to know. Like, it's just a pretty funny story. But they're very impressive. You know, it's basically like a fucking 18-wheeler, but with a giant missile the size of the 18-wheeler on it. So, you know, they're very akin to V2s, and you can see why they were so deadly. But they're very impressive. You know, it's like, that's not something to... Scud is a word that's thrown around a lot. And it's like, until you really know what you're talking about, it's like, okay, this is something to take serious. But yeah, I just wanted to mention the Scud story. So on that bombshell, we'll see you guys next week.
Literally on that bombshell.
Every soldier hopes for a major war in their lifetime. This one was mine.
Truth.
All right.
And then there's Birch uploading all the codes to Tel Aviv to the fucking computer.
I'm not a fucking Israeli.
Thanks for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to leave a rating. Otherwise, Mel Gibson won't stop screaming. If you like this content, make sure to check out our Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram pages. If you want to directly support our work, make sure to check out our Patreon. All these links are in the description below. Until the next time, Scuttlebutt out.